Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's Tip and Technique Tuesday. This video today is from a subscriber or follower of mine. She wanted to have me to make a short video on how to gauge a swatch and your stitches. So today what I did is I single crocheted a square of single crochet vertically and horizontally. Now what you're going to need, you can either use these little stitches, plastic stitch pins that I have, or you can use a regular stick pin that you would mark when you're actually using fabric. And I do have my yarn here. I'm using Red Heart as an example. And what the point of swatching, or not swatching, but gauging your swatches. The point of that is to make sure that the item that you're making is going to fit you properly. Okay, most of the items that you only have to worry about are those items that you want to wear on a regular basis. You know, things like purses and scarves, granny squares, things like that you don't have to be concerned about. It's just the things that you do want to get use of, you want to get wear out of, just your wearables that need to fit. Okay, so basically you can do this one of two ways. A lot of sites will recommend that you make two swatches, one regular and then one that you wash and run through your wash cycle and allow to dry, because based on your material used and possibly the type of stitch you used and how it's held together in your swatch, the size of your measurement can come out a little differently. And if you have even a 1/2 inch to an inch difference, it can make all the difference in the world as far as how that beanie is going to fit or how that sweater is going to fit. So it's kind of important on those particular items to do a gauge measurement. So I would highly recommend it. But I did not make two swatches. That's something that you can kind of do on your own. I just hand you that information, and if you choose to do it that way, that's fine. But the basics of using a gauge to do your stitches is two things affect it. Is the size of your yarn. Well, actually kind of three things. Your hook size. You want to make sure the yarn and hook size work together, and your tension is very important. Now on this ball of Red Heart yarn, you're going to see, and on all rolls of yarn, it will have a description. This is for knitting. You see the, excuse me, you see the two knitting needles, and then this is a measurement for crochet. Now what this is telling you is 12 single crochet and 15 rows should give you a 4x4 inch square, using, this is the important part, using a 5.5 millimeter hook. Now if you use a smaller hook or a larger hook, you're going to get a different measurement. So again, if you're trying to manipulate the size, and you just say, oh, I want to use a 6 hook on this, your swatch size is going to be different. It's going to be different than a 4x4 size. So you do want to pay attention to that on your skeins of yarn if you're making something that you want to get a lot of wear out of. Okay, so this is basically simple. And I use this pattern here for an example because this is also going to be my weekly Pattern Wednesday project for this week. So right here it says 12 stitches, which is your single crochet, should equal a 4-inch square, plus 14 rows should give you a 14-inch or a 4-inch square measuring your gauge. So what that means is, let's see if I can zoom in for you here. What that means is you're going to lay, and you can use a regular hardwood or hard plastic ruler for this, and that's fine, but this is just as easy to use. You're going to place your quick check or your knit check here. I always call it a quick check because it is. You're not going to use this last row or your end row. You're going to put this right at the start of your actual first row, okay? Now then, what you're going to do from here is, this is your 4-inch mark. Okay, according to the pattern, 12 single crochets should give you a 4-inch square across. Okay, so let's do the counting. You're going to count starting from here. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't have my thing right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so that's another critical thing. You want to make sure that that first mark is going to be on that first stitch. They want you to come over 2 rows. So the edge of this will be on the first row. You'll start your measurement from that second row over. Okay, so that's going to give me my 12 stitches across, gave me 4 inches. Okay, so that's correct. So that means my tension and my yarn weight and my hook size are all working in conjunction with each other to give me that gauge measurement. Now what you want to do is you want to turn this way, and you're going to measure your rows. So basically your 14 rows are going to give you your 4 inches. Okay, so I'm not sure if I have enough rows, probably not. But just a general idea, again, you want to place your marker. And of course, I'm not going to be going all the way to 4 inches, not across. I didn't do all of those rows. But when you're coming here to check your rows, I want you to keep in mind, you're going to take your marker. Let's use these. On this first one right here, there are going to be 2 rows per measurement here. Okay, this is 2 rows of single crochet. Let me zoom in a bit for you so you can see that. You see this right here? There are going to be 2 rows here. So every one of these sections in between these lines here are going to count as 2 rows. So you can count by 2s. Alright, so you've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. Okay, so if I had used the right hook, which like I said at the beginning, I used a 6mm instead of a 6.5, but I'm using the red heart pattern just as an example to read off of. But had I used the 6.5, my rows would have been bigger, and it would have given me a 4-inch measurement across using 14 rows. So basically that's all there is to measuring, using your gauge to do your measurement of your stitches. So basically, you just want to measure your row count, and at the beginning of every pattern, it's just going to give you the general idea of how to make your 4-inch square, your 2-inch square. Your patterns are going to be different. Some will base it on 2, some will base it on 4. But as I said, this is how you do your gauge. It's fairly simple, and like I said, you guys are probably thinking, oh, that's not measured to 4, and I know it's not measured to 4. Like I said, this was just an example pattern that I had printed, and I did not use a 6.5 because I didn't base it off of this pattern. I was using this as an example guide, but this is just the general idea of how you get your swatch measurement. So other than that, you mainly need to read your pattern, read the label on the back of your yarn, and if you feel more comfortable washing a swatch before you do your general check on it, that would be a wise idea. Otherwise, that's up to you entirely. But just be aware that several things, including your hook size, the weight of your yarn, and your tension, which is very important, because if you have a tight tension, you're going to get a lot smaller measurement, and your rows are not going to meet say the 14 rows are not going to give you a 4-inch square. It's going to give you a smaller square because your tension is so tight. So you do have to work your tension out and have it meet on a middle ground to be able to meet your stitch count and your size here. So basically, you know, that's it, guys. I hope this answered my viewer's question. There's nothing really difficult about it. But again, you want to make sure that you do not count that edge row there. Or at least that's the way that I do it. And I do know of other sites that do not count that row. So, you know, you want to make sure to start your white corner there if you have the Susan Bates knit check right here at this the crease, and then make sure that when you measure, if it's single crochet, you measure that the fact that these are 2 rows in each little section across, and they're separated by these indentions. Okay, so you'll do this the same way with double crochet, with triple crochet, half double crochet, any stitch you use. And also the important thing is your swatch. Make sure you make it based on the stitch required in the pattern that you're going to do. Because if the pattern calls for a double crochet and you did a swatch in single crochet, that will not work, guys. You have to use the stitch that your pattern that you're going to be working from is calling for, and your yarn and your hook. So it all works together to come up with the figure. So, but don't let this stress you out. It's really not that difficult. Like I say, you just get your general measurement, and this knit check makes it relatively simple. You know, and then of course up here at the top you have your, I can barely read it, your millimeter sizes, which is your top row, your knitting sizes of your stitches or your crochet hooks is the next row, your needle size, and then your crochet hook size. Basically you can also measure the size of your hook. Some of mine do not have a size on them, so you can always stick your needle in these slots here, and it will tell you what size it is. So basically I know that this is a 5.0 millimeter. So if I put that in the eye hole or the 9, that's exactly what size it'll give you. So this right here is for your needle sizes. And then you also have the measurement up here at the top and down the side and across the bottom, which is your inches. So this is a really nifty idea, and it gives you more information here along with everything else that they have printed onto this knit check. But this is something really good to have, and as I said, you can use a regular hard ruler. You don't want to use one of the plastic or the flimsy rulers, because when you lay it down, you want it to give you an accurate measurement. If you have any further questions about this, you can send me a message underneath the video, or you can post your question to my Facebook at Stitchinstacy, Stitchinstacy's Crochet on my Facebook. And also I'm in the process of building a blogger, so that will at some point be connected this week with the rest of my site. So okay, so that's enough gibbering for me. I do hope this helped. The main thing is you need to read your gauge on each pattern you do, and you need to follow up on your skein of yarn that you're using. So just make sure that all of your materials work hand in hand with each other to get the proper measurement. That way it doesn't end up being a project. Oh, now I'm going to have to find somebody to give this to or donate it to, because all this hard work just went out the window because you didn't measure it and it no longer fits. So that's it for this video, and until my next video, guys, I hope this helped. Happy hooking, everybody.